and we're off to the races. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Each and every day I try to bring some lighthearted conversations. Sometimes I bring some colorful, great personalities to the story. After all, everyone is basically a book ready to be opened. And once we open, we'll watch it blossom into whatever the conversation will be. Tonight is one for the ages, I guarantee you. I have an award winning filmmaker. This guy has done some great collaborations. We're going to hear all about it. Okay. He has been revered by many. He's got an unbelievable, he's got traction here, man, in the industry at a short age. This guy's very young. We're about to talk shop with the one and only filmmaker, award-winning filmmaker, director. Give it up for Richard Louprasong!
Woo! Thank you so much. That was a great intro.
Hey man, I gotta tell you, thank you for accepting this invitation. I mean, you've done quite a bit of stuff in such a short period of time, and I can only see the future looks super colorful for you and super promising. So thank you for being able to, make this room, this little niche, this little sliver. You like that, right? For Mr. Jim Francis Mason, Almost Famous Radio Podcast. Super excited. um, it's really great when you have, someone like us, like you and I, because we're disenfranchised, more and more we're just starting to see people of color on TV. I had a good friend in the olden days, Bailing was awesome. She was in movies
Oh
like The
yeah,
Crow
Bang.
and a lot
She
of other
was
films. Yeah.
very popular in the
Mhm.
90s.
Back in the olden times, we had Jackie Chan, we had a lot of other great people on there. And last night or 2 nights ago, we had the one and only Michael B. Johnson. No, Michael
Michael
B.
B.
Jordan.
Jordan.
Sorry. Michael B. Jordan. I have like a couple of Johnson friends. um, but Michael B. Jordan, who won the Oscar, and he went to the In and Out on Hollywood and Highland.
Oh yeah.
I was there. I was there.
Oh
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I was there. Give me time. Let me show you
Oh
something.
my
Look at
gosh.
it's gonna knock your socks off. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this? And
Hope
the
not.
Oscar goes to Jim Francis Mesa for Best Podcast 2025. Get up, guys, please. Put your hands together. Got a little miniature Oscar, dude. Isn't that the coolest thing?
It's very cute. It's
I'm
very
gonna,
dainty.
yeah. I can't make this up. Look, it's here.
Oh, it's still wrapped and everything.
Yeah, and everything. Yeah. And that was given to me by the Academy. So I want to thank the Academy. I want to thank. Let me do a formal speech
You
here.
forgot the Hollywood Foreign Press.
I want
You
to,
gotta
yeah.
include that.
I'm gonna give it up to the press. I'm gonna give it up to Vanity Fair. I want to thank Netflix for giving me that opportunity because now we're being resounded. We're making a splash. We're being finally showcased on Netflix. We've carved out a little niche. But anyway, I'm super excited, dude. Yeah. So the future looks super bright for everyone. And not to mention you, man. Let's talk about you, dude. Like, I mean, realistically, uh, you grew up. I love your t-shirt, by the way, and your hat.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, stab, dude. Doesn't get any better than that. Can I see your hat? Can you get closer?
Yeah.
Paper was
So
your
it's Paper Screen Podcast, which is
that's your podcast.
that's my
You're a
podcast. Yes.
podcaster also. I knew it.
I mean, used to be. I think we just wrapped up our podcast, and now we're kind of taking a break because
Okay.
I'm, working on
Right.
my feature.
Because you're doing 100 million things in the words of Trump. 100,000 million things. Oh
I don't
my
like to
God.
have I don't want to have conversations about him.
No, I know. I know we're not gonna waste our times on that kind of crap. But you know what? I'm honest to God, bro. I mean, I gotta tell you, Richard, I love horror, man. When did you start having a love for horror? And better yet, what was the first movie that graced
Oh
the
man.
TV screen in your room or your house for that matter? You remember the first scary movie that drew you in and pulled you in and almost gored your eyes out? Tell
Well,
me.
let me tell you a fun fact. I actually was so terrified of horror films as a child. I was, you know, watching all these different things without any parental advisory. Like no one was like really monitoring what I was watching, and I was hanging out
Yeah.
with my cousins, and they love watching horror movies. So, they were the ones that like introduced me to like Hellraiser. And
Wow. Of
I
all the
always
films.
thought, yeah, I always thought that guy was Pinhead is like so terrifying to me. But now
Totally.
like I love watching scary movies. Like I feel like okay, so another example, Candyman also terrified me as a kid.
Yeah. That was
And
the late
that
Tony Todd, right? Tony Todd?
yes, Tony Todd. And I am very sad about that because
Yeah.
I was hoping one day I'd be able to like work with him. But yeah,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Candyman, such a iconic horror villain.
Yeah.
Um, Terrified me as a kid. I could not sleep. But it wasn't until later in life that I like actually kind of grew fond of it. And
Mhm.
Scream was actually one of those films that kind of opened that gateway for me to love horror films. And I think because like Scream was just so it was like poking fun at horror films that it made it
Yeah.
less scary. So I was like open to like more horror movies, like viewing them. So that's how I kind of like started watching a lot of the scary
Very
movies.
cool. So what's your favorite scary movie?
Real question? That's such a
Yeah.
hard question, man. Um, you know, my favorite scary movie.
Of all time. And it can't your films are not included, by the way.
You know, I always think about The Exorcist and how like so like during that time
Impactful.
that like the production design of it and like the effects and all of that was just so impressive during that time.
Primitive
Yeah,
but good. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I would say like The Exorcist, and I think I saw the the director's cut or unrated version before like the original. So it really like left a mark in my memory.
Nice indelible mark in your head. a nice a nice cut in your brain. A slash
Yeah,
in your brain for sure. I think there was so many times where I wet my bed and hoping to God that that weird girl wouldn't come into the room and start laughing and turning her head around. I would hide under two layers of covers and was scared, you know what I mean? And it was like one of those things where I would rather suffer, from it was got freaking awful, scalding hot, middle of the dead of summer, and you're under the covers, and you're like, I don't care, I'm freaking scared of that thing after watching it. But then telling my friends, oh, that wasn't too scary, was it? And going home and saying, oh my God, dude, I gotta face the facts, face the music, so to speak. I gotta go to sleep and sleepless nights. And mom, like, are you okay? I gotta rest
yeah.
yourself. I'm like, you know what? I couldn't sleep last night. It must have been the food that weighed heavy on me. Anyway, so you grew up in Minnesota. What was life like in your household? What was it like growing up? Did you have a nurturing parents? Was there arts in the family? Anybody play the piano, maybe? You know,
Oh,
guitar,
um, let's see.
theater. I don't know.
No, I mean like so my family and I grew up in a very small town. I was raised in a small
Okay.
town of Minnesota. Um, if you ever seen the show Schitt's Creek, it's very similar to
Hmm.
that.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Great
so
show. Fascinating
yeah, it's a
show.
great show.
Hmm.
I mean, a lot of white people lived there. So growing up Asian, it was very hard to kind of navigate through life and childhood and like, making friends, even though, at a very young age, you don't really like pay attention to like the little things that are that come off racist, you know.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I didn't really think about that much, but now that I think about it, like there is a lot of that still inside me, and I
Hmm.
and it you know goes into a lot of my writing and stuff.
Troubles and traumas, and you.
Yeah, the traumas of all of it. But my childhood with my family, like it was also hard because financially, we didn't have a lot of money growing up,
Mm.
and having to bounce to different like homes and asking family to like help out and things like that. So, but we were very fortunate to like have a livable income, and my family worked two jobs. Like my mom was working a job and my dad worked at the same factory. There was like a chicken factory in the town that we lived in, so that was like where everyone was working at the time.
Hmm.
So like my mom would be like working a morning shift, and then my dad would do a night shift, and yeah.
And they
So
would bring chicken home every day.
yeah, I don't really remember the chicken. I don't remember if they even brought the chicken. They
You're like,
probably
we
didn't
have
get a
fajitas.
discount.
We have fajitas for breakfast. We had chicken fingers for lunch.
Yeah.
At dinner, we just had eggs. Eggs over
Yeah,
easy for dinner instead.
it's
No,
so
but
sad. They probably didn't even get like benefits from the
yeah,
chicken. Like,
not even the feathers. Hey, you know what? I lived through the same kind of humble beginnings in life, and it's troublesome at first, but it's really what makes us. I learned that that's what makes us, and I think a lot of that is what's made you into the young man you've become at such a young age. You're already doing some pretty masterful things in filmmaking, editing, and marketing. I can hardly wait, and podcasting as well. So
yeah.
really, I love what you're doing, man. And it's you wouldn't change that for the world, trust me. Maybe back then you did go through a lot, I think. Isn't it funny how we go through so much when we're younger, and you're ashamed of poverty, you're ashamed of like you're wearing like the same shirt you wore like last week. You try to trick it out differently, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
wear like something else, like black pants probably instead of the blue ones, and you try to
Yeah.
make things work out for you, just so that you can still fit in, so to speak. Um, but it's are those hard moments and tough ones that kind of polish us, and over time, we learn to bounce back from any kind of ordeal in life that life throws at us, or any curveball. We're able to freaking do this like kind of a matrix sort of deal where you kind of go around,
Yeah.
and you're able to then take what you get, and you could really like talk about getting you get lemons and turning to lemonades or margaritas or whatever you want to call it, um or throw it at someone to make you feel better.
Eh,
But you know what I mean, like it's great. I think that's a real like what we have in common. That's really cool. And
yeah.
it's funny, as far as like you said, when you're younger you don't really see the stereotypes, the things that they throw at you, the jokes, they make. That's very,
Yeah.
very common, especially in an all white town. I can't imagine, dude, the horrors
Yeah.
that you have to go through, man. But you came out on the other end a better person, and you learn from those lessons, and right.
Exactly. Yeah. I wanted to answer the other part of your question was like uh, the art in my family, like if there was like other family members who were very artistic. I would say yeah, like there, my cousins were very good at like sketching and painting, but they never really like, dived into that like as a career, but it was more
Mhm.
like a hobby. But I think like my brother, he is also into the arts. He's like a dancer. He's a hip hop dancer. So that's
Nice.
his art form. But yeah, I feel like him and I are like the only ones in our immediate family that actually kind of followed the arts and our dreams into, you know, for me, like becoming a filmmaker and like, continue doing that, as hard as it is, especially in this economy. So yeah, it's been kind of a crazy life
Roller
journey.
coaster, man.
Yeah.
Whirlwind. Let me ask you this: when did you realize that you first want to be like a filmmaker, or was there a movie or something you watched that really was that pivotal moment. We said, I mean, I could really do this for a living down the road. This is gonna be my passion. I'm all in.
Oh man, I guess it was like in my teenage years of, thinking about what I wanted to do in my life. And I was always so focused in art class, and like I'm a painter, sketch. I did a lot of like different types of art. Um, but I knew like that wasn't something that I really wanted to follow. So filmmaking was something also that I was interested in doing, but I had never touched a camera before. It wasn't until like this intermediate class that I had in high school where we had to come up with a media project where we would shoot something based on like whatever we were reading. I think at the time we were like reading The Crucible,
That's
and
that that's a that's something that like that most of us have to. It's like a rite of passage in high school.
yeah,
Good
and
one.
it's funny because like the assignment was like to recreate the scene with whatever you wanted to do. Like you could perform it or whatever. So we did our interpretation of. It was just me and a couple of classmates. We were assigned to work with each other, and we decided that we were going to film this interpretation of the Crucible. And it was so campy, it was so bad, but I had such a blast doing it that I was like,
That's it. That's it
that's
right there.
it. Yeah, and
It's
continued.
got
It was
bitten
like a
right there,
little,
baby, by the bug.
yeah, little analog camera. But actually, the movie that really like wanted me and kind of inspired me to, go into movie making was Titanic.
Titanic.
Oh, Titanic was a huge
All the different
inspiration.
layers, right? Quite literally, like the romance going on and the horror of it all. They're gonna die, and then there's this freaking dude that cheats with this girl, and now they're running from the guy with the gun, while the freaking no
The ship
less
is
the
sinking.
ship is sinking. Oh,
Yeah, it's funny
it's
because like
fabulous.
that movie came out when I was in third grade, and we were learning about the Titanic at the time, and so I was, the artistic me was like drawing a lot of the what my version of the Titanic was as at a third-year old or third grader
Pretty good.
perspective. And
Yeah,
so, it was so funny or just ironic that that movie came out during that time when I was like obsessed with the Titanic that I really wanted to see that movie. And then when I saw it, I was like, this is like amazing.
that's cool. It's so great. Now, tell me the dynamic of your classroom. Build it up for me. Do you have friends that were just as profound as you were that you guys still keep in touch with, or is there anybody else that what kind of circle did you run with during that time?
Um, I was kind of like a quiet kid, so I didn't really have too many friends during, in elementary school. So I was like kind of a loner, always drawing. But, kids would, like, come out and, like, they would see, like, the drawings I would do, and, one of them was, like, the Titanic breaking in half. And they would be like, "Oh my gosh, Richard, your drawing is so cool."
It's
So I
awesome.
was, like, starting to, like, open up and make friends that way, so, but yeah, that was kind of, like, what my classmates were or
You and
classroom
I,
environment.
Richard, you and I, I'm hearing you out. You and I have a lot of parallels.
Oh,
When I was
really?
in fourth grade, I had one other friend and didn't have that many friends in school. And I got bullied when I was in elementary school. I grew up on the east side of LA, East LA, and there was gangs there in the elementary school.
Oh.
Yeah, we were getting shaken down for our lunch tickets. We were
Oh,
getting
that's
jumped for
crazy.
nuggets and burgers. Not kidding. But the gang there was had like a gang members and stuff that wore the same shoes, same like shoes, like Jordans or
Yeah.
the Nike Cortez or whatever. And then they would bully you if you were by yourself, and I wasn't hanging out with a whole lot of people. I was different, The time I was young, I knew I was going to be great. I was aspiring for greatness. Tiny little place in East LA where most people take to the streets, or some people do. A lot of people go to college nowadays, right? It's
Hmm.
different. It's a different world now. But back then, when I was growing up, we didn't have so many. We didn't have a mentorship program. We had. You want to be an actor? Yeah, you could go to like, do little community plays, and that's the extent of that. The biggest actor I think back then was Edward James Olmos that had made it, and
Oh,
you know,
really?
actors like that were that were making it, and nobody really, took to that and took it serious anyway. But growing up, I always had music in my family, just like you. You're trying to find your way, and I was just like you, man. I was kind of a loner. I studied a lot, studied hard. My mom would, took me under her wing and made sure I go to school every day and get my studies. And I learned whole lot. But I always had to wondering. Did you always wonder? Did you always wonder, like, you ask questions or you're afraid of answering the questions because you were kind of curious about the world, right? And then you would stay after school and ask the teacher, "Hey, by the way, Mr. So and so, do you really think that really happened? And if so, why? What are your thoughts behind this or that? Were you one of those inquisitive kids? I think you were. That's why.
You know, if I was like very quiet about it. I would probably have a one-on-one with the teacher and be like, "Hey,
Hmm.
I have a question."
Hmm.
But like about school and all, like I wasn't very I was, to be honest, I was like kind of terrible in class.
Okay.
And all I cared was like art, drawing. That's all I really cared about. And like so I was like really bad with like studying other subjects like math and and English and reading
I
and
hated math. Ugh.
yeah. And not to be like not to pull like the stereotype of like Asians know math, but I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, man. It'd be like, yeah, it's funny because people have all kinds of stereotypes about all of us. But you know what? Thank you so much for coming out here and being, stripping down, so to speak, and allowing us to really get a bird's eye view of what your life was like and misconceptions, right? Of Asian.
Yeah, of
Let
course.
me ask you, like, how does it feel to win an award, um, specifically for your work in this great little film, The Cruise, and you also have There's Something in My Eye, There's Something in My Eye. Like, how do you feel about this, man? How did you feel when you first won awards? And congratulations while we're at it.
um,
It's surreal, huh?
it is. It was so. I wasn't sure, like with the cruise, like I wasn't sure if like people would get it and like understand me. Like I made that film for me, basically. I wanted to just like make a movie that was like very fun because for context, it's about a gay couple. They go into the woods to conjure up a spirit at this old cruising spot, and this guy who's dressed as a coyote went out and slashed all these people. And so that was like the idea. I was just like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. And very just because it's queer focused, it wasn't like you know serious. So it was really fun for me to make. And when I made it, I was like, this is just something that I wanted to do for myself. Like as a queer
Good.
person, it's for me. Um, and I didn't know if people would like it, but now it has kind of like a following, which is really cool because like um, I found out that like The Cruise was mentioned in a book of queer horror, and I was like, wow, that's like an accomplishment. Like that's a slay, honestly.
Yeah, you Mister, you Mister, you created its own genre almost. It's almost like its own genre.
It
you know,
is, yeah.
and it took life on its own, and that's great because of what you did. And that's art, man. That's art for you. You don't know what's out there, and you put it out into the ether, and then watch it blossom. Like I said earlier
Yeah.
on, and take its
It
own
was
light form. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
And
Congrats.
when I started like, getting nominated for awards and like getting accepted to film festivals, it was really cool. But also it kind of sucked because it was also 2020 when the movie was like being screened at film festivals. And at that time, like a lot of film festivals were doing like virtual screenings. So I
Yeah,
didn't really get to experience it in the theater with people with an audience. And my first time watching that movie with an audience was at the NoHo Fest in North Hollywood. Um,
great place, great
and
film
it was a
festival.
great venue. The Lamel, is that what it's called? I
Hmm.
forgot. Yeah,
Yeah,
so it was.
it's fantastic. I love it. Been there plenty of times every year.
And then ever since that, like, it's been having like more live screenings. Like people keep asking me if like they can screen the movie at their festival. Even though it's been out for like years, there's a festival in um, England.
Every corner of the city, it seems, right? Of LA, any corner of the planet, there's festivals and everything, which is great.
Yeah, there's a film festival in England. They asked me if like they could screen it for their Pride event,
Wow,
and I was like, okay, yeah,
wow. Your
that's
film
cool with
traveled to
me.
England. The power of technology, the power of having a little vision. It's the little, was it the little engine that could or something, man? Sounds like the
Yeah,
underdog story, and we're always fans of that, and for sure we're purveyors of that, and pushing those stories that don't get told otherwise. So you're kind of a mouthpiece for a lot of folks that wouldn't otherwise have a voice, and that's awesome.
yeah, thank you.
Now,
Same thing with
go
kind
ahead.
of like
Mhm.
I was gonna say like there's something in my eye was kind of like the same situation.
Right.
That was a
Give us
film that
context. Fill us in with that. Let's deep dive.
the film is about a woman who experiences something in her eye and she is the only one that can see it. But it is almost kind of like it's like a horror comedy, body horror.
Love
It
it.
was actually my first film that I like shot myself. Um, it was very low budget because I didn't really have like much financing to produce it, so I just kind of like took matters in my own hands and like did everything
Nice.
myself. And sometimes you have to do that. So it was like one of those experiences, like as a filmmaker, to see if you can challenge yourself and see if you can do something that was like less crew and things like that. And it's gonna
Wow.
be yeah, it was a very challenging experience, but I'm glad I did it because I learned from it. And actually, it was actually such a positive experience that I'm going to be doing it again for my next project.
That's fabulous. Yeah, with very low money. It's more of a vision and the artistic value that goes into things. Having that eye, no pun intended, eye for what you want. You took a stab.
Yeah. So yeah,
Woo! We're on fire. We're operating on all
I took
cylinders.
I took a stab in my own eye.
Oh boy, look at that. And you did quite a remarkable job. Congratulations, young man.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the man crush.
Oh my gosh, the man crush.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew about the man crush. Oh gosh.
You'd be surprised, dude. I mean, honestly, dude, it's like I think that there's nothing more rewarding for me to do my homework, my due diligence, so
Yeah,
that when I'm here with my guest, then at least I have an iota or a small little minutia of an idea what we're getting into. It's not just
yeah,
you know superficial stuff, and we like to deep dive and all the
of
nooks and
course.
crannies.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to talk about the man crush because it's been a long time since I have talked about it.
No, that
Um,
was a romantic comedy. Yes,
it was a rom com. It was actually my first
rom-com.
short
Mhm.
film that I did outside of film school, and that was
So, so
uh,
departure from the horror, right? It's departure from what you normally used to doing.
yeah,
Hmm.
and that was something that I wanted. I was very passionate about it at the time because I wanted to. Um, I had this idea and I wanted to express it, so it is based on like my personal experience that I had. I
Hmm.
I was coming out at the time. It was like I was in the closet and I came out, but this guy was kind of the one that pulled that pulled me out of the closet basically because I had a man crush on this guy who turned out to be straight. But yeah, that's kind of like what the movie is about is like this guy who thinks like one thing, experiencing one thing with this guy, it's actually not what he thinks it is. And then, um, yeah, the romantic comedy part of it just falls and it, yeah. But yeah, that was like my first short film.
Very cool. Let me ask you something. For folks, I mean, I clearly know, but for not from my own knowledge, for from the viewership, the millions of people watching at some point when this comes out, what can you impart to folks? Like, how do you get started? Like, if you want to be a filmmaker, what's the best advice you can give to a young person, or let's say myself, even in my mid to late 40s? How do I get started? And why, if I want to be a filmmaker, what would you do if you were me? Would you use a phone? I mean, because what do you start with? You don't have to start with any crazy
Yeah.
equipment, right? It's more of the vision. It's more having a vision, setting out to it, and then filming. But how would you even start? What would you even do for starters?
You know, I feel like filmmaking has changed over time that we have access to so many devices that can shoot stuff, you know? Our cell phones
Hmm.
are always like upgrading and that's like the one of the best tools that you could use to like start making your movies. And it doesn't have to be perfect either. Like um you're when you're making stuff, it's a learning experience. So
So, as a
you
matter of
have to,
fact, you would say you don't have to have it perfect the first time, is what you're saying,
yeah,
right?
and
You
that's
got to
how I
learn.
felt about Man Crush. Even though I shot that on a red, it was a learning experience for me because I had never made a movie outside of that before, and I feel like you know when you're shooting with a cell phone, you have so much more mobility and like freedom that it's easier for you to make movies. And um, I was gonna say like, sorry, I totally forgot what I was gonna say, but um,
I thought you say you had that man crush, and then you're still thinking about this man crush. You're
no,
hung on that. You perseverated. You forgot about what the cameras.
but
The
yeah,
red, you
like
got the red camera. Use the red camera, but it's okay to make mistakes.
yeah, it's okay to make mistakes. Like you know, being a filmmaker is part of like
It's a
learning
learning curve.
and
Mhm.
making mistakes, and you're practicing your craft when you're doing it. You know,
Love it.
and it and that includes like writing and directing, producing your own stuff. Definitely do it with your friends. Use the resources that you have, and then you know create your story based on that. That's the
Oh, okay.
that's what I like to think about. You know, when I'm making my own movie, writing it, I think about like the locations that I have connections to and
Hmm.
the actors who are my friends
Great
that I can
advice.
use. Yeah, so it's like, and this is LA. Everyone is like, you know,
Mhm.
something,
Yeah.
and even if you're not in LA, I think that that goes for anywhere. Like, you could be in the Midwest, like Minnesota, in a small
Yeah.
town. Go and shoot stuff with your phone. You know, yeah,
I love
that's
it.
my advice.
Okay, let's talk about this new film you have coming, Unboxed, and what it entails. And let's talk about, and it deals with
Ooh,
influencers and the like. Let's
yeah,
talk about it a little bit before we call this quit. It's insane. We've been on almost 35 minutes, believe it or not.
yeah. So it's funny because like just diving in, just after like talking about shooting stuff with your phone, I'm
Mhm.
also unboxed is like kind of like that. I'm also using the resources that I have to create this
So
movie.
cool.
It's a
Yeah.
feature length film. It's a mockumentary, found
Yeah.
footage, and it's a horror thriller. it's actually inspired by not personal experience, but like I work in an ad agency, so there's a lot of
Right, 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 right.
things that I'm pulling from there. But it's about an influencer who is on the rise, like in the social media world, and she opens this box that's cursed, and she unleashes this evil spirit into her home. So throughout the movie, it's like her and her bestie who they basically
Open
go
up
through
a
this
Pandora box.
journey. Yeah, basically, kind of like Hellraiser.
I love
um,
it. So we're going
and
with this.
yeah, they have to break the curse somehow, but they only have a few days to do it before this
Time is
evil
always
spirit comes
running
through.
out on every movie. Isn't that the common thread?
Yes, exactly. It's kind of like life. You never know, like when your time's up, and you. That's kind of why I wanted to make this movie, is because I never know when I'm gonna be able to make my next movie, so I'm just gonna keep doing it,
The
however I
hourglass.
can. So yeah,
Reminds me of
unboxed.
the analogy of the hourglass.
Wait, what?
Reminds me of the analogy of the hourglass.
Mm.
The time, the sands of time running low.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
I can hardly wait to watch your stuff, man. Send me some links when you get a chance after the fact, or when you have obviously we could follow you, right? What are your social media handles?
Yeah, so on Instagram, at some call me underscore Ricky, and then I think my TikTok is also at some call me underscore Ricky. I could be wrong, but I'm usually on both platforms. I started posting more on TikTok because I've been promoting Unboxed, um,
All right.
and I also we're raising funds for it, just for some production costs. So there's a GoFundMe page if for anyone that wants to donate.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm definitely gonna. Yeah, I noticed it. I saw it. So for sure, we're gonna look at that more keenly and see if we can help out. Um, Also, in addition to that, you have any pop-ups happening, or is all I know a lot of the pop-ups that are going on everywhere, and wouldn't it be cool like if you did like a horror pop-up, an immersive pop-up? Let me tell you what happened a while back. I was on this whole, the show, the Boys TV, the Boys TV
Oh
on NBC.
yeah, TV
So
show.
I landed some gig where I play a butcher and we're running around this shop. They open it up for people to get like the experience, an immersive experience, if you will. And I think you should be doing that, man. You should really have like a space where you go, you're gonna be there, and a couple of other folks, kind of like you would do in a kind of like a convention, a tiny little convention pop up with
Ah,
people.
okay.
And then we poke their eye. No, just kidding. But you have like an immersive you have like an immersive experience of some sort, of some kind.
Maybe I'll do
You
one
know?
for Unbox. That would be fun.
Yeah, that was
You get to
cool,
open
man.
the
Like,
box, and then you go
yeah,
into like a haunted house attraction,
let's do
and
it.
it's
I'm so down. I'll help you with that. I'll help you with that. Definitely. I'll have
okay.
the box to show it to people come around. Open the
Oh my
box.
god,
Don't
that'd
be
be
afraid. Okay? Open the box. Take
that'd be
take
so
a leap of
fun.
faith. Take a leap of faith. I, I've taken a leap of faith tonight, guys, with the one and only filmmaker, director, editor, Mr. Richard Louprasong. Any,
Thank
any,
you.
hey man, any last words? Any final thoughts?
No, but thank you so much for having me on here. I had a lot of fun chatting, so I appreciate that. It
I
was
couldn't be happier, man. You're awesome and easy to talk to you. I've known you forever. Wait, I have known you forever.
ah, yeah, totally. I feel like you
Right?
were my limo driver.
Hey, who told you he's a limo driver? Oh my God, you're freaking me out. Yep, that is exactly the case. Yeah, I told you that I drove Freddy Krueger. I don't know if I told you, but I had Freddy Krueger in the car, and he was unbelievable. And what do you think? Let's talk a little bit about Freddy Krueger. Now that we're on the subject, Robert Englund, will he reprise his role as Freddy Krueger for one more stab?
I hope so.
Me too.
He's the only person that can do Freddy well.
Right.
We had
Nobody
that.
else can do justice to the Freddy Krueger
Yeah,
franchise.
exactly. We
Nobody.
had that remake, and it was not good. So if we're gonna do a reboot, we gotta bring Robert Englund back.
I think I am totally with you on that, 150%. Not the least of which, I mean, if you think about it, he brings the comedy as he's killing these people. He always has some punchline, and it's hysterical,
Mhm.
man. I love it. I love that. I mean, it can only be done by Robert Englund, but
Right.
great dude. He used to be a surfer. I don't know if you knew this. Yeah, he was a surfer.
Oh,
Freddy Krueger surf, man. He was
that's hot.
shredding the waves, bro.
That's hot. Yeah.
Rich, we
That.
had a great time talking to you, man.
Yeah.
Can
Thank
we do this
you.
again? Let's make it a habit.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, let's talk
Definitely.
about your documentary once again. I mean, the mockumentary is Unboxed, yes?
Yes.
And let me see your once again, show off your hat. That's your podcast. We can check it out. Paper, Screen podcast, where you talk about
We talk
film.
about
Right?
movies. We do
Yeah,
movie reviews, and we just do listicles as well. So yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Hey, you better invite me next time. Once you guys start over again, your next season, okay?
Yeah. That'd be great to have you as a guest.
Yeah, we could talk about. Okay, so here are the people we could talk about: Robert England, Wes Craven, Andy Dick.
Andy
I got
Dick.
stories on all those people. I got Andy
Whoa.
Dick stories for days, dude. I used to hang out with Andy Dick back when he was actually together. No, he was shooting Less Than Perfect. That was a sitcom he was on many years ago.
Uh,
All right, my brother, that's our time. Almost Famous Radio Podcast, guys. Hello and goodbye until we meet again. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
You are the man.